Hello and welcome to this event in celebration of Rosemary Jenkinson's latest collection of short stories, Lifestyle Choice 10 Milligrams. This is published by Dura Press, and you can buy it from www.durapress.com, or an ideal thing to use your No Alibis bookstore gift voucher on as well. The writing of the volume was sponsored by the Arts Council of Northern Ireland. So I'm really excited to be speaking with Rosemary today about her collection, and to have her read a little bit from it as well. And as we know, everyone keeps saying we're living through strange times in this really kind of portentous way. But yes, we are living through strange times, and this sort of acts in a way to sort of celebrate and I was about to say commemorate, but that sounds like the collection has died. To kind of to celebrate this what really truly wonderful short story collection that we have today. So I want you to imagine. I know we've said on Twitter that everybody can sort of get out with their glass of wine and their nibbles and whatever else, and pretend they're at their favorite book launch venue of choice. Mine is, of course, might be No Alibis, might be Crescent Arts. I know that the launch was due to take place with the lovely canapes of the Irish Secretariat. So wherever you are in your mind, sort of go there and make sure that your glass is filled. I think that's where you're meant to clink your glass, Rosemary.
Oh, sorry, miss. Right,
There we go.
we've
So
done it.
there's a bit of
Okay,
a bit
I'm
of
drinking now. Warm wine, warm wine.
yes, the wine is warm, the crisps are slightly stale. Imagine whatever you like. You're trying to avoid that person you don't want to get stuck in a conversation with. You're trying to find out where the good after parties are. So it's a good Belfast book lodge. This collection, I think, is really remarkable. I think it explores both themes that are familiar to anyone who's interested in Jenkinson's work, but I think pushes the boundaries of what's expected from fiction set in Northern Ireland. It is a frank sort of thrill ride through Belfast, whether that's depicting sexuality, drug taking, but there is still a certain element of the legacy of the Troubles. But I think there's also something there that is much more inventive and much more interesting than anything I've seen for some time. So Rosemary's going to read a little bit from this wonderful new collection. Then we will talk a little bit, and then we'll see what happens. So do you want to begin, Rosemary?
Yeah, why not? This one is from the opening story of the collection, and it's Millennial Woman. It's raining now, a low-level, bone-drenching mizzle. I can hear it on the leaves over a kind of alcohol buzz in my head. As I begin to trek up the Lisburn Road, I can smell the kebab houses, fleetingly reminding me of Donna. I'm ravenous. I'm about to duck into one when I hear a voice beside me. Hi, had a good night? The voice belongs to a smoking hot guy in his early 20s with a sexy floppy fringe. Not that floppy is a good adjective when it comes to a man, but he looks fit in the body. Of course it's wet and my eyes are a tad blurry, but he seems nice. It'd be a great country with a roof, he quips. We pass a group of girls with their light jackets draped over their heads, joyously singing, Hallelujah, it's raining men. We both laugh. He's an economics student at Queen's, walking up the Malone Road where he lives with his parents. Do you bring home men you meet on the street often? He asked cheekily. Hardly ever, but I could always make an exception. Who knows? Oh, he says, wide-eyed. I'm loving the delicious tension between us. He looks a bit like a young Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender. Of course, I know it's a stop when I get to my house. I have yet to pack. Being such a last-minuter is something I have to eradicate from my behaviour if I really want to succeed in life. But I'm in holiday mode, and it's like the holiday starts here. Shouldn't you be hurrying home to study, please? No way, he says. It's only my first year. How old are you? 19. 19? So how old are you? He asks. 7. Yeah, right. Officially I am. I was born on February the 29th, which means I only have a birthday once every 4 years. See? told you I was 7. You're crazy, he laughs. At the foot of my street, I stop and I'm about to kiss him goodbye, but it turns into a kiss of hello and come on. And I know it's right, as it's time I moved on, Jake. I'm a millennial woman. I'm not meant to get strung out on just one person. Come on up to my room, I whisper as we go in the front door. Why are you whispering? Someone here? No one. I'm feeling like a dope, as if I'm whispering for the benefit of Jake, who's been gone 3 months. Up in my room, my wash bag is lying in an oval-mouthed O of reproach. The suitcase is sitting wide open and empty. See, no baggage, a joke, but he doesn't get it. He laughs at my heavy duvets. It's like you sleep in a padded envelope. The bright light makes me realize I'm still buzzing off my bubble with drink. We make it to the bed and I start kissing him. Our hair is wet. The back of his head feels like a washed peach. He smells so fresh. We start taking off our clothes and, well, he has a sculptured perfect body. I'm pretty good too, though I'm a bit slim in the breast region, and when my weight's down, I do have the look of a starved whippet. I remember suddenly how Jake didn't appreciate my self-deprecating humour, and I think sod him. I'm in this clinch on the bed, and I have these wild, ludicrous visions of taking a selfie right now and putting it on Instagram. He's lying over me. The head of his penis is as round as a pink rosebud touched by the dew. I'm guiding him in when I suddenly stop, tapping his shoulder like a wrestler. Wait! What? His eyes are already trance-like. I open my bedside drawer. Quick, 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 I'm telling myself, as time is of the essence in these operations, or you're back to square one. I finally find the box and take out a condom. Here, put one on. He rolls the condom between his fingers before briefly blowing into it, making it rise like a chewing gum bubble. I have no idea what he's doing. He's either checking for punctures or trying to expand it so it fits him better. His hands are febrile with drink and desire, but somehow he manages to slip it on. I close my eyes as his flesh merges with mine. It's almost too quick when he pulls away from me. Maybe it's true that the best things last the least, but even so, this was fast. The sensation of him quickly ebbs from my body as his head rolls back onto the pillow and his breathing starts to slow. I feel something wet on my inner thigh. Without looking, I know it's the condom. My hand reaches out and peels it off. I better go, he says, springing off the bed. See, I say lightly, I knew you had to rush home to study. As I watch him get dressed, the pregnancy paranoia starts to set in. I get up out of my bed, pull on my dressing gown, and stand at my door to wait for him. It's in my mind to talk about the condom, but it doesn't seem the right time for the sharp reality of it. Besides, he's so young, I'll have to deal with this on my own. On his way out, he stumbles over my suitcase, which is lying there like some kind of giant man trap. It's for my trip to Greece, I explain. Nearly went on a trip there myself. We go down the stairs and I open the front door. It's that awkward moment where all these platitudes like, nice to meet you, are running through my head and we end up staring rather clueless. Just as we're standing there, a rotund woman comes up. Is Ryan in? No, sorry, he's not. God, it's Donna. I waffle something about him having a couple of drinks with the lads. She doesn't look very happy. She once told Ryan she thought I was sensible. Imagine now she's thinking I'm a terrible influence on Ryan, bringing the young lads back at all hours. Good night, the guy says, giving me a passionate kiss on the lips. Bye now, take care, I say casually, as if he's a relative who just popped round for a late night cocoa. Do you know where Ryan would be? Donna asks. No, I say. But I've a good idea who he's with. Even worse, they could be on their way here right now, so I better put Donna off sharpish. Maybe he's gone clubbing. Just tell him we need to talk, he says. She says ominously and bounds off into drizzling dark. I go back to my room. I can't believe it. There's Ryan about to be a dad, and I'm potentially pregnant myself to a guy whose name I don't even know. I mean, I've always liked the idea of having kids, and I am genetically pretty good material, and lack of breasts aren't a point at all, especially if I give birth to a son. But I mustn't have a kid to a total stranger. No, this can't happen at all. I need a morning after pill urgently, but I'm off to Greece tomorrow, and I'm betting the books at the airport is nothing stronger than 50 50 Shades of Sunburn lotion. Panicking, I rummage in the top drawer for some old contraceptive pill, Microgynon 30. I went on it when I was with Jake, but I stopped as I hated putting chemicals into me. I took one, wondering, will it work if I start the contact or course tonight? I'm not sure. All I know is I'm terrified of being pregnant. I take another, then another, and another, and another. Fuck's sake, I've already overdosed. What am I doing? I quickly look up microgynon overdose on Google. There's no info anywhere. Obviously, I'm the only person crazy enough in the world to take 5. I just flooded myself with estrogen. At least I certainly should be having a baby now. Perhaps not ever. Perhaps I will produce loads of testosterone just to counteract it, and I'll turn into a man. And I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. That was great. Yeah, that was great. I love that story. It's such a great opener. You know what I mean? The idea that right from the start, you know, she's talking about, you know, the one thing not to do while the head of a handsome Greek rests between my legs is to remember that work even exists. Like it's such a great strong opening to sort of a collection and how you mean to go on. It's really interesting. I'm so interested in the women that you represent and the way that you sort of represent their sort of their sexuality, their sort of appetites and desires. I think it's something that your short stories have always considered, but I think there's something even more frank in this collection. Do you think you'd agree with that or not?
Yeah, probably a bit more. Certainly, the one men is even more. Or I think that's very open about what I sexually think, things like that, and sort of experiences that aren't usually on the page. And that was definitely, I mean, the men were particularly influenced by Bukowski, who really goes for the whole sexual thing and makes it sort of dirty and beautiful at the same time, which I think is important. Do you know, a lot of women who write about sex, they write about it in a kind of repulsive way, like they really don't like it, and that really is a turnover. I mean, I really like it, but I also know it's kind of crass and crude in another way. So it's like bridging the gap, those two things.
Yeah, and I think in particular, like, what I'm also really interested about is about these sort of women who, like, refuse to be tied down, especially by men, unless you know it's in bed, or who sort of, especially women who sort of refuse to or feel dissatisfied about the world of work, of paid work as well. Like a lot of your women seem to be the idea of having a sort of even like the school teacher at the end, like throughout it, there seems to be women who don't want to be tied to anyone or anything. Maybe
that would be true, and in the thing of work, I think it's like a lot of the office work that you get. I know I've had those jobs in the civil service and in the examinations board, and it's very much within a female society in there, and you're very trapped in that, and there's no opportunities to meet men, or and it feels like that. A lot of women are really trapped in those worlds. So I wanted to talk about that, particularly in the lead story, lifestyle choice 10 milligrams of being trapped in that. And I mean, my general experience of work is not good at all. No one's a writer. You can tell because those are it's so mind-numbingly boring with computers nowadays. Work so yeah, it's about freedom and not being tied down. It's also about the ability to travel. I mean, I know that in that one I just read, it's always going to Greece, going somewhere else rather than staying in this here right now. Extreme.
Yeah, I think I really noticed that sort of in your kind of previous collections, especially something like Aphrodite's Kiss. Like there was a lot of sort of cultural encounters and moving between sort of worlds, and some of those stories I know were set in Poland. Some of them had different kind of cultural encounters in Belfast. There seems to be a slight a bit more of a focus on sort of Belfast Belfast in this collection. Would you agree with that? I keep just saying things and then being like, would you agree with that? It's fine if you don't agree with it, obviously.
Yeah,
But I've
well,
just noticed these are slightly more Belfast stories, if that makes
the,
sense.
this collection is, yeah, which is, I think every one of them is Belfast, which is really unusual for me because I've
Yeah.
been away. And I love actually writing. I find that more lyrical, the world of abroad, whereas I suppose Belfast is a bit grittier. Uh, though, I mean, I think Well a Dream has some sort of lyricism in it of Belfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, all really about Belfast. Um, yeah, the people I met more. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've also found is that quite often, we've sort of talked a little bit about the sort of the gendered experiences, and I think a lot of the novels that have been written about Belfast that have dealt with kind of, like sex and drugs, especially, have been sort of novels written by men, and I think it's one thing that I haven't really seen before in the fiction was in particular. I've obviously seen sort of women writing and representing sexuality, but I hadn't really seen quite such a sort of a frank description of drug taking in Northern Ireland, in particular, sort of opioid addiction, and the sort of the different kinds of drug taking that kind of happens in Belfast now. I'm wondering if you think there's sort of like less of a taboo about talking about sort of like recreational drug use since the end of the Troubles, or do you think it's still something that's a pretty much a taboo in society?
Well, it's a lot more prevalent, I suppose, and a lot of that's leading to the homelessness. There's just so much more talk about drugs
Yeah,
on the streets, and how that goes through into house parties as well. It's sort of suffused through society a lot more
yeah,
recently.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that's really why I decided to tackle that, and particularly with prescription drugs. I mean, it's huge, and I mean that was from my own experience for being prescribed for pain, and
right.
they're so difficult. My experience was trying to get. They're difficult to get off because they are a psychological crutch, and I think
Yeah,
that's really the point. Uh, so it's interesting just talking about that because I think so many people are in that position right now. You can't get off these drugs, and it kind of and it makes it just anesthetizes your whole life, and that's why I use that really as the title with the 10 milligrams that it
yeah,
will yeah, this basically makes you into a zombie. The choice of these drugs, very much in that story, it does, and a docile person who can do sort of office jobs, and that's what drugs make you. Because so many people are on drugs for anxiety,
yeah.
and I think that really flattens you down. And I think so. It was really about that. Even though I think the title, I mean, the title isn't a negative. I think a lifestyle choice is a positive thing, but I think
Yeah.
it's too easy to slip into the whole choice of drugs.
Yeah, and I think obviously the idea of the sort of the opioid crisis is something that we're maybe a lot more familiar with sort of in an American kind of a context, but the idea of sort of this being a worldwide problem, I think, is something that I think the collection deals with in a really interesting sort of a way. Um because I think the stories that we're looking at, what I'm also interested in sort of, if we sort of go back to some of the sort of the theme of kind of sort of escapism and sort of sexuality that goes on within the story. What I'm interested in now, this is a bit of a critical conundrum for me, right? Because obviously, I'm kind of writing about some of these short stories in the book that I'm writing at the moment. And quite often when we write about sex and sexuality in Northern Ireland, it's often sort of taken to be this great symbolic thing that kind of means something, if that makes sense. And that it has to mean something. And one of the things that I really sort of love about your work is that people just sort of have sex for the pleasure of it. And they sort of just sort of it's difficult to sort of make it be about the to make it be about the conflict, because quite often sort of relationships come to sort of stand in for the sort of broad kind of contours of the conflict, or peace and reconciliation, or something like that. And I think there's something that the way that we as critics want to read with and want to engage Northern Irish writing is very much on this plane of this is what this can tell us about a writer's background. But I think what you do in terms of representing everything from sort of sexuality to opioid addiction, I think, is to go a little bit further than that. I'm wondering if, when people sort of, whenever you go elsewhere and you get interviewed, or people kind of react to your work, do you think they're reacting to you as a troubles writer? Do you think that's the way that you kind of get read, or in a different way, do you think?
Well, I never do write about the troubles. Everything
Yeah,
is post troubles. I've never written a story about the troubles in my life.
yeah,
So it's still haunted by troubles. It still interests me because they still have their stories in their head, and that's disabling them nowadays. So
yeah,
I do that, and people keep telling me their stories, which is, I mean, for instance, the one Bone Dust, it was one of the relatives of the Shankill butchers was talking to me, and
yeah,
these sort of stories are still coming up, and I think I want to record them definitely before they're lost forever. So
yeah,
I mean, I do feel there's a slight duty thing, no, but
yeah,
it's also for it because I want to understand what happened and what is the impact on now, and
yeah,
why people can't move forward now, and because they're the regressive elements in society. So
yeah.
I'm very interested about that, but I'm also I totally love. I think there's nothing more meaningful than meaningless sex. There's something about that is just. Yeah, well, okay, that's maybe a flippant comment, but I
No,
do mean there is something about liberation that we need right now, and maybe that is freeing us from past constraints and darkness,
yeah.
of the past. So,
Yeah,
so
because there's one particular sex act within the short story collection that might be seen as sort of non-traditional in many sorts of ways. I'm trying to be as euphemistic as possible because I don't know who's listening to this. So I was sort of reading that short story, and I was sort of texted a friend saying, I think this is the first instance of this particular sex act in any sort of Northern Irish text that I've read anyway, and how can and he was sort of a theorist, and he was helping me say, oh, maybe it's about this and maybe it's about this, and I was like, no, actually, I think maybe it's just that this is what those two people wanted to do. I think this is just, as you say, the sort of the sort of the sexuality is kind of sort of the meaning in and of itself. What I'm
well,
interested in, sort
yeah,
of,
I mean,
obviously, sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, it can be across gender boundaries. Again, but you're obviously saying that maybe a critical theorist might say that is me getting my own back on the male-centered
Yes,
society. So
exactly. Yeah.
I understand that, but to be
Yeah,
honest, I wasn't thinking of that. But it could be lurking down below. You just don't really know these things.
yeah, and the thing that I like about the sort of description of that is that it is quite sort of, it's quite joyful. You know what I mean? Like, she, when she goes shopping for the equipment, she's doing it slightly cheerfully, and like, I find quite often the sex and troubles texts is there's always sort of asymmetries of power. Everything's quite grim. No one's really having a good time. But there's just something
Yeah.
quite. I don't mean to use the word cheerful, because that makes you sound like you're a children's television presenter or something, but it's just there's
Peter?
enthusiasm and pleasure, which isn't something that I get to see in some of the stuff that I read all that often, which is nice.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely. I think that's just my world philosophy that whatever I do, I've got to get pleasure out of it because there's just no point otherwise. So I do think, yeah, I do have a carefree philosophy in life, which,
yeah, and
yeah,
that really does, I think, sort of come out really well in these particular stories. I just wondered also, this is might be a slight tangent, but how has it been sort of reading and thinking about writing and sort of the moment that we're writing? Because obviously this sort of wonderful book almost sort of acts as sort of a slightly kind of carefree time capsule of a sort of a now obviously it's coming out now, and I would strongly anyone who's listening, I would, if you don't want to think about what's going on in the world and you want to read a book that is both sort of profound, hilarious, all different things, I can't really recommend this book highly enough. But what is it like to sort of be launching a book, to be thinking about this in this sort of moment in time when everything's changed?
I know, it's like you're saying I'm dated already.
No,
It's funny,
I
what?
didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that.
It feels like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If only I'd had enough time just to put a dystopian story in at the end.
Yeah.
No, my next collection will be extremely dystopian. But no, I don't think it makes anything irrelevant at all. And
No.
yeah, it is like, if this crisis anyway is over within 6 months, things will probably even be more hedonistic and everything, and it'll be like, I think it's going to be like the Roaring Twenties. That's
Yeah.
what it's going to be like. So in fact, I think my book is totally relevant. This is more, I think of this time as a kind of strange blip, um,
Yeah.
and yeah, for sure, right? For sure, it'll darken our work. I mean, there's no doubt about it because we're more anxious and tense, and
Yeah.
that isn't great fun work. So it will come through, but then the payoff for that is that it will be joyous when we're out and about again. So yeah, but yeah, it's totally all consuming, the coronavirus right now. It's crazy. It's something so huge in our lives.
Yeah, I was sort of hoping you would have sort of ended on that joyful note, Rosemary.
Oh,
But
yeah, roaring 20s. No,
everything will
yeah,
be
yeah.
fine. Everything will be great.
It's going to be wonderful very soon. Sorry, I am dark as well. You can't expect all that
No,
light stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think I definitely do think that this is really sort of an ideal collection to be reading at the moment. Like there are stories obviously that are, I don't want to seem like I'm sort of painting it like it's like sort of an orgiastic sort of thriller right the whole way through. There are sort of a lot of collections which are a lot of stories in the collections which are quite profound, sort of about grief, about loss, about sex work, about loads of different, I think, really sort of powerful and sort of poignant themes. I think that any reader would do well to pick up in our current moment. So shall we sort of leave it there? That seems like a good sort of book launch sort of level of kind of
That was like
commentary,
half
does
an
it
hour.
not?
I wouldn't have done more than half an hour. And I was sharing on my book launch. I was sharing with a poet, Linda McKenna. So I'd have probably even done less. I'd have got away with less than that, Caroline.
O- Okay, so we shall leave it there. And don't forget that the book is available from directly from Dura Press's website or from any of your sort of do support your local small bookshops at this time, and also thanks to the Arts Council of Northern Ireland, and thank you very much to Rosemary.
And thanks, Caroline. That was great. Far better than the real launch. That
All
was
right, thanks
yeah,
very much.
yeah. So that was it. Okay, thanks, Caroline.
Thanks.